Good morning. Out here in Slushville, Maine. Wonderful thing about it, when it starts to thaw, it turns everything into mud and thick slush and everything else. But and we're not anywhere near done with winter yet, so this could just be a false spring here. Spring, we've had snow here on this property in May. So we're 16th of March right now, I believe, is today. And so we have a lot of winter to go yet. It could just warm up and be fine and whatever else, you know, and which would be good. I have a lot of work to do outside this year. But we'll see. Only time will tell. But I wanted to do a video on one of Satan's greatest deceptions, if not his greatest deception. And I've seen this thing where Satan is the father of lies. And the one thing with lies is that you build a lie, and once people accept it, you have to build another lie on top of that lie, and then another lie on top of that, and you just keep on covering up the original lie. Okay, give you a good example of that is the lie of evolution theory. Evolution theory was a philosophy that things are getting better. It came out in the 19th century. Primarily, I realized that there were philosophers that kind of ascribed to somewhat of that natural selection and, you know, survival of the fittest, all that stuff before then. But it really became popularized in the 19th century with a lot of the Oxford movement and some of the Enlightenment type of stuff and whatever. People started to think that they're smart and smarter than the Bible, and certainly Christians are dumb and whatever else. And you know, over there right now there's a whole bunch of goldfinches in the trees, and Charles Darwin, I know, I think there were finches, and the Galapagos Islands or whatever it was, I don't have all that stuff memorized, correct me if I'm wrong, but he saw these finches and he said, I bet they had a common ancestor. Yeah, probably, you know, a finch. You know, it doesn't mean that they came from a rock or something, or from non-living matter. But what happened? Well, we have this theory, and we came out and we have a theory that man evolved slowly, and, you know, at hundreds of thousands of years ago. And then it was, well, probably a few million years ago. And then, well, you know, actually 4.6 billion years ago. Well, actually, we're, you know, not really sure what the time was in the past. See, what they're doing? They build off of a lie. They put the platform down. The foundation is a lie, and then they build off of it. Man is not getting better, okay? That's anti-science. And the world is not getting better. That goes against the second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy. Things get worse with time, okay? And I know you get into the whole argument, well, if you add matter, if you add energy, then it, you know, can improve. And I get it. I understand all the debate stuff, okay? But just look around you. Things get worse, all right? Really nothing improves when you're talking about the natural world. If you look at it as a whole and everything else, it's deteriorating. And certainly you can see people, modern man, and you can see the same thing. But what the devil does is he builds this platform of lies. Hollywood comes out, presents an image of what you should be and whatever. And Hollywood of the 1920s bears no resemblance to Hollywood of the 2020s. All right, it's gotten worse. Perversion today that would have been looked down upon by even the worst person back then, you know, things have changed so much. Why? Because Satan's building lie after lie after lie. But here's the point of the whole point of this video. You say, we're just saying reality. Yeah, sure, I get it. But what can you do about it? Well, there's anything that you can do about it. You just have to accept the way things are, and this is the new normal, and we now have to go forward with this understanding of the new normal, and we can't change anything and whatever. No, actually, you can go against that system. I have some levels of modern things here on this property, but for the most part, there's no power lines coming back here. Those poles are for security over there. Those poles are for security. I have cameras on them. I have little lights that are solar powered and everything else. Do I need that? Well, ultimately, no, I wouldn't. I have them up for now, but if there's other things I could do, I wouldn't even need those. And as I go through life and I realize, you know, I did a sermon many years ago, I think probably 2009, and it was called The Danger of Convenience. And someday I'd like to write a book called Conquered by Convenience. And a lot of people have thought to themselves that I have to have certain things. It's very convenient. And what they don't realize is actually the convenience, when you get right down to it, is many times slower and more problematic than just doing it the old-fashioned way. Okay, give you an example. I do not use a blender when I make mashed potatoes. I know this is really profound stuff here, I realize, but just hear me out. I use an old potato masher handle, and it comes down like this, and it has the little, zigzaggy thing, and you just smash the potatoes like that. That's what I do, and it works. Works every time. When I'm done, you wash it, you're done. There's no power. Oh, we had a power outage. You can't make mashed potatoes or things like that. I don't have a smartphone. Why? Because I don't need a smartphone. And I'll tell you right now, I realize that there are some people that, you're out there, you're on the call and everything else. You kind of need a phone. I get it. But that's a very small minority of people actually need their cell phone. And you could have a cell phone without it being a smartphone, too, by the way, like a little flip phone or something like that. So, but, oh no, we can't go back. See, we can't go back. Yes, you can. And I bought a truck here recently, and it's a 1991, and it's pretty nice. Doesn't have a lot of the technology stuff, whatever, no GPS built in and OnStar this or whatever else. And I'm happy, very happy with it. So far, I have to do a little bit of work to it and things. Great. But my point is, again, textual criticism. Well, see, in the past, the King James translators, you go back to Erasmus, Desiderius Erasmus, and he only had a small handful of Greek manuscripts, and he created the very first Greek-Latin text, which later became known as the Textus Receptus. And so the Textus Receptus is only based on a few late manuscripts. You'll hear that from New Version people. Is that true? No, that's a lie. It is true that Erasmus only used a few late manuscripts, but the fact is, why did he only use a few late manuscripts? Because you don't need to use thousands of manuscripts and lay them out. You look for late ones because they're in better shape than the early ones. Duh. Okay? But you see what I'm saying here, okay? Oh, well, no, but see, we have newer manuscript, new Bibles now, and we just have to keep going forward. We have to, yes, it was built on the lie, the foundation that Sinaiticus is an ancient 4th century Bible that was commissioned by Constantine or whatever else, okay, maybe that's not true exactly, but we can't go back. We can't go back to that old King James Bible. Why not? You can't live without electricity. You can't live without being on the grid and without running water and without all this other stuff. Why? Why? Is that stuff crippling you? Is it making you ineffective in life? Is it keeping you in slavery and in bondage? Uh-oh. Hey, we can't go back to the 1st century practice where they didn't have church buildings. Why not? Why not? Why can't you meet in people's homes? Why can't you meet out in the open air and preach? Why? Oh, well, nobody does it that way anymore. Then you be the first one. See what I'm saying? The Bible says that we're to ask for the old paths. Where's the good way? And walk there, and ye shall find rest for your souls. Screwed up the wording of it a little bit, but, the point is, you're to ask for the old ways. The old things. How did they do it in the past? You know what? It still works. And many times it's much more efficient. I've built a few buildings over the years completely with hand tools. No cordless DeWalt, Milwaukee, lithium ion, whatever battery. I've built things completely with hand tools, hand saws and things like that, hammer, nails. And you know what? It works. And you know something? I didn't have to have hearing protection on when I was using it, a hand saw. Well, it takes longer. Well, maybe a little bit, but I get exercise. There's a lot more to this than most people realize. But most people are just so closed-minded to it that they think, we can't go back. There's just no way. I can't live without a cell phone. I have to have my smartphone and whatever. I'll be saying more about that in the future. But I literally just saw a thing yesterday where there was a guy that was involved in a defensive shooting at a park in Utah, and he got out of there. He left. He left the whole situation. Not a very smart thing to do, but that's what he did. And you know what they did? The police contacted the cell phone companies in the area and they said, can you track and see if anybody was at this particular park last night? And they did. And they found the guy, his name, and his address. Well, you know what I'm saying there. They found him. Simply by GPS tracking. And, oh yeah, there was a guy at the park last night that he had his cell phone on him. You're being tracked and traced wherever you go if you have a smartphone. Oh, well, Brother Brian, we can't go back. Why not? Why? Why? What if you have a breakdown? I've had breakdowns, had to walk 5 miles back here the one time. You know, it was dark by the time my son and I got back here. No phone. But I'm free. I can go wherever I want to and I'm not being tracked. And I can ask for the old ways of doing things, the old paths, the old hymns, the old King James Bible. And I'm free. I'm not under bondage to some hireling that's just there for my money. Some church corporation that's under the government 501c3. Tax designation under the IRS, if you understand that issue. If not, watch some of my videos on that. But just want you to think about this, okay? Find ways to simplify your life and do things the old way. Look for those foundations that the devil has set up, built these foundations of lies, and then how he builds on them and builds on them and builds on them until you think, I can't go back the old way. I'm here to tell you that you can. That's going to be it. Thank you for watching.